When I actually went from 600 sows to 1,400 sows, times were changing, right? And if you remember back in the 90s, there was a lot of push to try to get large agriculture regulated and pushed out of communities. And I had some people in our community that objected to me doubling our size. And so I ended up having to hire an attorney to be able to get my permit. And it became so political that I was in the newspaper almost every day with people writing letters or comments, and a lot of people didn't really understand what we were doing. I used to think that I lived if you know where Juniata County is in Pennsylvania, it's a very rural place.
Americans are capable of achieving extraordinary things when they have the freedom and opportunity to do so. This is American Potential.
Welcome to the American Potential Podcast. I'm your host, David Fromm. When you think about sitting down for a full breakfast, chances are bacon is involved. Or maybe later in the day, you're craving a good pork chop for dinner. But it's not just bacon and pork chops that farmers offer us. They also bring us sausage, ham, ribs, pork shoulder, and even things like lard and leather. While they're not quite as tasty, they're still important. None of that would be possible without hardworking farmers who have a real passion for raising pigs to feed America. But have you ever stopped to think about what it takes to actually run a pig farm? I'm talking about the mountain of regulations farmers have to navigate, many of which used to be voluntary practices and are now required by the law. And all those rules, they don't just impact the farmer, they can drive up the price you pay for the grocery store. Today's guest is a seasoned pig farmer from Pennsylvania who's been in the business long enough to see how things have changed. He's here to share how he got into farming in the first place and what he does as the president of the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau. I want to welcome to the podcast, Chris Hoffman. Chris, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure to join you today, and I look forward to this podcast and telling our story in agriculture, because it's really important that we do that, and to be able to make sure people understand where their food comes from and just what it takes day in and day out for your food to make it to your table, and all the things that farmers are pressured with day in and day out. So it's my pleasure to be here and look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, likewise. I think this is one of these instances where a lot of people take a lot for granted. It's like, hey, food, I take it out of the refrigerator, I cook it, I eat it. And there's a lot that goes into that. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. But before we do that, I kind of want to know, how did you end up becoming a farmer? Because my understanding is that that's not what you originally wanted to be growing up.
No, growing up, I had a real desire to be in law enforcement and wanted to be a federal marshal. That was my end game, so to speak. And when I graduated high school, didn't really have money to go to college and didn't really know much about that. And so I went to work on a pig farm that was owned by a feed mill. And within a year, I was actually managing an 800 sow pig farm where we were breeding and farrowing out little pigs. And I was in charge of 4 people at the age of 19. So that was where my start happened. So we kind of fast forwarded for about 4 years, was very successful doing that. And as I was looking at the economics, I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this for someone else and they're making all the money. I should do this on my own, and was able to find a farm, and I purchased a farm and started out on this journey that I'm almost 35 years into. That it's hard to believe that time has went that far, that fast.
Yeah. What's it like to get a farm up and going?
Well, back then it was a little bit easier because as you started out, regulations were not as tough, and was able to kind of be able to do a lot of this stuff on my own, where today you almost have to hire consultants to get through all the red tape and all the regulations that we have. But back then, I was able to go to the township and kind of give them my plan and showed them the building I was going to build. And drew out my own E&S plan where, this is where the water's going to go, and here's how we're going to protect the soils and all that. And went to the bank, got financing, and away we went, and we got started. And as time went, how government is, as they feel like they got to regulate you more and more. And so, there's a lot of things that farmers have to do, from not only, the finance side of it, but labor is really tough. Being able to find labor to work in the facilities, and just to be able to kind of manage technology as it continues to change, being able to have the systems in place to be able to do it. We struggle in my community, for having internet. And at one point in time, I had 2 internet companies coming into the farm at the same time, just trying to have some type of service where I could be able to send emails out. Couldn't do a podcast like this today because it was too slow to do that. It was, I think, slower than dial-up when I first started. So it really has changed. I mean, agriculture is moving very, very quickly, and technology is really adding to what we do. I think about our breeding stock alone. We used to have a born alive. We had 10. We celebrated, right? If we had 10 little pigs born on each sow, that was a celebration. Today, we got 15, 16, 17 born on every sow. So just creates a different type of challenge in how do we manage pigs. Before we didn't have enough, and now we have an abundance. And so our job has changed a little bit as we do our work and kind of manage our system. So it's fun. It's enjoyable being here on the farm. One of the best things. Those who don't get to be on the farm miss out on all the great things we have here, and being able to work with the animals day in, out. It's a passion. It's just something we love to do. And I myself love to eat them too. So, you talked about the bacon and the ham. I'm all in.
Yeah, no, I had bacon this morning. Maybe just quickly characterize like the scope of your operation and like what you have there at the farm.
Well, we have 1,200 sows, and for those who don't know what sows are, they're females that we breed, and so we have probably about 220 sows actually lactating. I'm giving birth at one time, all the time. We have pigs being born every day. And so, this is a 24/7 operation farm as we go. We also have a nursery that has about 5,000 wean pigs. So we raise them from 21 days to about 64 days. At that point, they go from 13 pounds to about 60 pounds. And then they leave here and go to a finishing site where we have about 10,000 pigs on feed, where they're growing to be able to go to become what we call market hogs, where we actually market our pigs to Leidy's, which is the northern suburbs of Philadelphia, where our pigs are then processed and delivered to the Northeast. Everything we do is domestic, so our animals don't leave our country. So
yeah,
we do anywhere from about 25 to 30,000 market hogs a year through our system. And then if it's not crazy enough, back in 2012, my neighbor, he decided at 77 he was going to retire. Didn't have anybody to take over his poultry farm. So I went and bought the poultry farm, and we're now raising over 250,000 broilers for Empire Kosher in Mifflintown. And as we speak, they're down catching chickens. So you got me out of that to do this podcast. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Happy to help you there. And then you happen to be the president of the Farm Bureau. So you got a few things going on. Wow. So I kind of want to get into what it's like now from a regulatory standpoint versus what it was like, when you started out and as you progressed. Can you kind of, paint that picture for us?
Well, back in 1994 when I started, you really didn't have a lot of regulations. A lot of the things we would work with extension or conservation. We would do a lot of things together in trying to figure out using science and how are we going to work with our nutrients and permits were just get a permit to build your building and things were pretty simple back then and I had the first what I'm told the first nutrient management plan in our county, and I worked with the conservation to help actually produce that nutrient management plan to really determine where our nutrients were going to go and how we were best going to use them to grow the crops on the farm. And so as time went by, we were, as we grew, because I had 600 sows back in 1994. In 98, we expanded and went to 1,400 sows, where as we transitioned to a larger farm, I had, DEP, it's our Department of Natural Resources here in Pennsylvania. They said that, well, we really need to, because you're so big, you're a concentrated animal farming operation, and that we'd like for you to fill out this paperwork. It's voluntary. Your CAFO permit is free. Just fill it out, and we're just kind of making sure we know where all our farms are, and kind of just getting the clarifications in place. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I would do that. So in 2000, we filled out the paperwork and we submitted it, and everything was fine until 2005. And all of a sudden, they come back and said, well, this is no longer voluntary. Now it's mandatory. You have to do it. And so it got a lot more harder to do, because the stuff they were asking, a normal farmer's just not going to be able to produce it, right? It just was, they were asking for things where we didn't have the capabilities of doing it. And so we would work with consultants. And so as we got into it, we were able to get our 2005 plan done. It's a 5-year permit. In that, we have to do nutrient management plans every 3 years, which are now mandatory. And so we're doing nutrient management plans. We're doing, that's every 3 years. CAFO permits, the concentrated feeding operations, is every 5 years. Well, by the time I got to 2010, they were looking at watersheds. And if you know anything about the Chesapeake Bay, I happen to be so honored to live in the Chesapeake Bay. It is a great place to live. But because of the focus on the Chesapeake Bay and the watersheds, one of the watersheds that I live in, that our sow farm sits on, is actually a high quality watershed. We have natural reproducing trout, native trout in our stream. And so they're said, well, you're no longer a general concentrated animal feeding operation. You are now an individual. And that's going to require different setbacks. It's going to require different planning. It's going to require a different permit. Well, I couldn't do the general one by myself, so I really couldn't do the individual one. So it just continued to grow to the place where today, when you think about these permits, I have to pay $500 a year to have a permit, a concentrated animal feeding permit. I have to pay consultants over, I think my last one was $5,000. And my nutrient management plans continue to cost me more and more all the time because of soil testing and the amount of information they need in these permits. So it's kind of getting out of control.
Yeah, no kidding. That's terrible. Well, so then you've gotten involved in the Pennsylvania Farm Bureau, and lead it now. So how'd you get involved with the Farm Bureau, and what does it focus on?
Well, I got involved in the Farm Bureau. The kind of was the necessity when I actually went from 600 sows to 1,400 sows. Times were changing, right? And if you remember back in the 90s, there was a lot of push to try to get large agriculture regulated and pushed out of communities. And I had some people in our community that objected to me doubling our size. And so I ended up having to hire an attorney to be able to get my permit. And it became so political that I was in the newspaper almost every day with people writing letters or comments, and a lot of people didn't really understand what we were doing. I used to think that I lived if you know where Juniata County is in Pennsylvania, it's a very rural place, right? And everyone was a farmer, so I thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing of it is that generations are changing, and people don't know what farmers do. Our pigs are inside buildings or in climate controlled buildings where we're protecting them from all elements. Protecting them from the environment, protecting them from other animals, protecting them from the heat and the cold weather, right? And so people question, like, what's going on behind the curtain? And I didn't realize that, right? Because I was this young farmer. I was doing my thing. Like, I was trying to make money. I was trying to grow our operation, our farm. And I realized as I was going through this, that there was a lack of education, right? A lack of opportunity for people to truly, really understand what it is that I do. And so I got involved with Farm Bureau because I needed some help. Like, I needed their guidance, so to speak. And so they had a guy there that came out and helped me and helped craft messages, and we worked really side by side. Well, then if you know how Farm Bureau works, it's a county grassroots type deal. There's 54 county farm bureaus in Pennsylvania. Juniata County has their own grassroots county farm bureau board. But once I got involved, all of a sudden, hey, Chris, we need you as a board member. Well, then I became the vice president. Then I became the president. Then I needed, there was an opportunity to be a board member at the state level. So I became the board member. And after 8 years, I was came to my end of what I could actually do. And there was a change in leadership, and I needed a vice president. So I ran for that. I won that. And then 2.5 years ago, I ran for president and was successful at that. So that's kind of how I got involved in the leadership side of it. And so, my goal is to protect our farmers. My goal is to really create a place where Pennsylvania can have their farmers be able to go out and do what they do what they love, protect our family farming business, right? And we don't need this regulations. We don't need these things, because farmers are generational, right? It's the next generation. I have a 29-year-old son, right, who is hopefully going to take over our farm. That's his goal. And so we have to protect our land. We have to protect the soil. We have to protect the water, right? We're already doing all this stuff. We don't really need government to tell us how to do it, because this is what we do. And so my job as the Farm Bureau is to advocate on behalf of the farmers and knowing what they're going through. How do we create the pathways for them to actually get there, get it done? And so it's pretty exciting. I get to meet with a lot of different people, and every once in a while you hear from the White House and ask you to show up. And we got Congressman G.T. Thompson, who is he's the chairman of the House Ag Committee, great friend. So it takes a big army to be able to move the policies that we need to move. And it's just an honor to represent farmers.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, federal policy. I mean, one of the things you guys are supporting is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, as is AFP. So one of our major parties. So when that passed in 2017 under President Trump, how did it help you and your farm and then others as well?
Well, so we actually have corporations set up for the chickens and for the pigs and all that. And so one of the things that helped me is that, under the tax code, used to be able to do your depreciation, at least to get you to zero. Well, under the new code, you could do bonus depreciation, which actually you could take more depreciation and have a loss. So if I was making money on my chicken houses, on that side of it, I could actually take more depreciation on the pig side, create a loss on that to help with the loss on the other, the profit on the chicken side. And so that's been something really big for me in the bonus depreciation, being able to use more depreciation to help with trying to mitigate my tax obligations. It also did lower the corporate tax, right? So that has been really, really good from that side of it. I know that some of the other farmers, and that was me personally, but some of the other farmers who have young children or have children, just even the tax credit have been pretty amazing as you think about it. The thing that I'm concerned about right now, we've got to get this done, and the estate tax, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, I think it's at somewhere around 13 million. The size of our farm, we can't go back to 1 million or 4 or 5 million. For me to be able to pass this on to my son, something happens to me today, we need that death tax thing gone, right, on the estate side. And so we need to make that permanent because that is really, really huge. We're losing too much farm ground right now. Right. And farmers, my son wouldn't be able to pay a $4 million fee on trying to get the farm.
Well, so if Congress doesn't extend the tax cuts, what would that impact be on you and other farms?
Well, it's gonna increase our cost. I mean, it increases our cost, our liabilities to the federal government, and it takes away from what we can do here on the farm. Right? We invest back in all the time. Farming's a low margin business. Like, it's not where you're getting 40 and 50% returns, right? Sometimes it's a 2 or 3% return. And right now it's raining like crazy in Pennsylvania we've had the wettest May, I think, on record. And so things are kind of a little tough, right? And so we need every opportunity to be able to make a profit. And if we got to give money to the government because, of the tax code, it will just put more and more farmers out of business and less family farms be able to compete in this world. And so, for me, it's like we got a big job to do, and we're hoping that this big beautiful bill or whatever they're calling this thing, right? We're hoping it passes and gets done because farmers all across this country need it to be able to continue to pay less tax and be able to invest back into our farms.
Yeah. Well, I admire what you've built. I think it's so cool. I think people aren't as connected sometimes to like all the work and what a sophisticated business you're running there to help feed people. And I think it's cool. I appreciate the kind of the peek behind the curtain of sorts. Chris, because you keep up with rules and regulations from at the state and federal level, what's something that they could do that would really benefit farmers?
Well, I think from a standpoint of reducing all the regulations and the red tape that we have, even at the like the federal level, it's really great to see EPA coming out and waters of the U.S. Right, we're going to rewrite that. That's been WOTUS has been something that has been a concern when you start thinking about having the EPA be able to regulate a mud puddle on your farm, right?
And that's actually not too much of an exaggeration.
It is not an exaggeration based on what they tried to do. And so I know that the EPA administrator has said that he's going to rewrite it and he's going to put it back to where it needs to be. And so that's one instance. Like, those are the things that really make a big difference, right? Pesticide use and herbicides, trying to take away the tools that we have, not using science, just using because somebody has an idea that, oh, this is bad for you, but without any real reason of why. And so we just got to make sure that the policies that are put forth are policies that are made up of science, good policies that farmers can work with. That's not going to cost us money, because when it starts we have to start laying out dollars to try to meet regulations. It costs not only the farmer's family, but it's going to cost the consumer who goes to the grocery store more money. It's going to take away their ability to do other things. And so it really is up to us to continue to fight and work together to really make a big difference in how regulation can affect us and put costs to almost everything we do in life.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your leadership and all your hard work. Keep it up. Folks, if you like this episode and would like to stay connected with the podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, as well as following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Always remember, liberty and freedom are easily taken for granted. Don't take it for granted. Go out there and defend freedom and liberty. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to American Potential. You may listen to more stories from Americans working every day to expand freedom and opportunity in their communities by visiting AmericanPotential.com.